A very good evening to everybody watching. Thank you for joining us on this week's edition of The Agenda. My name is Tewan Jabela. Tonight on the platform we are joined by Modestus Amutse. He is the Minister of Industries, Mines and Energy. And he's here to really reflect on that big mandate that he's heading for our country, the challenges, the opportunities and everything. Thank you very much, Minister, for making time. It's a pleasure talking to you. Really, it's the first time that I'm speaking to you since your appointment in December. Congratulations, first and foremost.
Thank you very much.
But you had to hit the ground running because there's no time for honeymoon. How are you settling in the new portfolio?
When I was appointed by Her Excellency the President, Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, the marching order was very clear, and that was to speak and work to the message that we have delivered to the nation when we're campaigning for elections, because we have an election manifesto that set out the objectives of the 8th administration. And of course, the ministry has got a specific mandate as well.
Yeah.
And those are the mandate, that is the mandate that I have to unpack so that at the end of the day it delivers fruits to the benefits of the Namibian people. One is the natural resource beneficiation policy. We have the national resource beneficiation strategy, but then I have to give birth to the national resource beneficiation policy. I should say, if everything goes according to plan, by end of August or perhaps early September, we should be able to government should be able to make an announcement as to where we are, probably to introduce it to the public, because that is actually the key that would pave the way for us to control the movement of natural resources, especially referring to minerals. That is the one that would say certain minerals must be appreciated up to this percentage before leaving the country. Talking about the lithium, for example, talking about the different types of ore, say for example copper. My idea is that before the end of the year I should be able to, of course, representing government, to inform the nation that we have reached the level where copper has to be 100% appreciated within the Republic of Namibia, meaning that we would not want the copper to leave the country in a raw form, but it should be leaving the country at the level of cathode, like the level of Zambia, for example. And I have already engaged the industry. The industry is cooperating good so far, and some of the people who are in the mining sector are already preparing to set up or to establish themselves to respond to what they can expect. Because ordinarily you don't want to witch hunt processes. So at least I have already started with the stakeholder engagement in that line, and that goes the same with the marbles, for example. Those ones I have also already started with the engagement with the stakeholders, and there are already some that have committed to start giving the stones the value that we need, because our message is going forward. We wouldn't want to see trucks full of marbles leaving the country unprocessed. And to me, the processing of marbles is not the cutting of different pieces and in different sizes, because to me that one is simply to comply with the order by the person ordering from the one extracting the minerals. So to me, that is not the proper beneficiation that we are looking at. So we are looking at complete products such as tiles, perhaps slabs, and all these kind of things. And I should say, yes, there is positive reaction from the industry, and from the ministry side. We are also putting all efforts to ensure that we have facilitated the process where it's needed. But again, that will be probably addressed in the national beneficiation policy, which we are busy developing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've just said some of the focus is also given to me as a package by my appointing authority being the president, because that's really what you want the country to arrive at.
Yeah.
And we are also talking about policies to address different gaps. For example, at the moment we have a system that is not properly talking to the expectation of the people as a ministry, because when people apply for different licenses, for example, exploration licenses, mining licenses, they wait for too long. Some of them will tell you even for 2 years I've been waiting for the evaluation of my application, for the determination to be made and for me to be notified, and that is unacceptable. We say we cannot continue with that status quo. So we have already tried, or actually start unpacking a better process where we want to move to automation. So the application processes must be automated, so that by launching the application, the system should be able to kick out a certain response to say, of course, maybe you will be waiting for this long, but not that much. But also that is to create a better transparency in the system. So because then the system will do much of the work, including the scoring process, so that it can remove that burden on human beings. So at the end of the day, we believe that would promote transparency in the allocation of opportunities in the mining sector. So that is also another one. And the other one is also to improve on BIPA, so that companies can be registered in a very shorter time. People have been talking about 24 hours, especially other countries, but we have proof that we can also do it within 12 hours. So we are currently running a test to see how that will go. And we believe by February next year, we must have mastered that and completely launch it countrywide as a permanent solution. But for now, we have already started testing the technology so that we can roll it out completely. But yes, just to say a few. Noticing my presence in the office for the last 7.5 months. That is at least some of the activities that we have been busy with. Of course, Mr. Njembela, you also know that we have areas of energy where we have to strengthen rural electrification. Of course, we have a number of projects that we have rolled out to connect businesses and community, but we are also looking at best practices when it comes to the energy mix that we have to assist the country with in terms of energy, electricity generation, for example, and to create a base load for the country, because at the moment we rely on Ruacana Hydro Power Station. Fanek Station, of course, has been redundant for some times. And then we export most of our electricity. But that is a process that we also want to manage and reduce, so that we do not import.
You said export. I know you meant import.
No. Yes, if I said import, I export.
You said export.
I was actually referring to the import. Of course, we also do export. We do export of electricity sometimes to countries such as DRC. If our hydro power station in Ruacana perform well, depending on the rainfall. And of course, we do good business there. And we are still striving to expand that arena of exporting, because we must participate not only in the domestic market, but also in the regional market, especially with regards to the SADC power pool. Well, participation must be felt, and of course we have, like I say, we have already started, and we have also initiated additional projects such as the ANA project, which deals with the construction of a power line and infrastructure such as high voltage performance transformers at Kahama inside Angola, and then we can then evacuate energy from there and then expand some of our stations to be able to accommodate the volume of the voltage that will be evacuating from there, with the purpose of strengthening our energy supply inside the country, but also to use some of the percentage, of course, good percentage, to the SADC power pool.
Absolutely.
Yes.
When you spoke about that policy, Minister, the one that demands more work to be done on minerals before they are exported, just building on that, because one of the issues that investors in particular talk about in Namibia is lack of proper policy uncertainty on certain things. What is being done in that regard? I know, for example, and we are going to talk more about it later, but I know, for example, that when it comes to the oil companies, a lot of them, as a matter of fact, none of them has yet made what they call the FDIs, the final investment, FIDs, final investment decisions. And part of their issues is that there are still things hanging. They don't know you decide we are going to invest in Namibia now properly, and then policy is now confirmed, and then it blows away your entire plan. What are we doing to really tighten that aspect so that there's assurance?
The Petroleum Products Act is being amended, and indeed I should say it has reached maybe 99% completion. That is in terms of the amendment, meaning that the amendments have been affected, but of course it still have to go through processes such as reaching Parliament, and we are at the level of doing final consultation specifically with leadership, because it was widely consulted on, and all the views that were collected during those times were inserted in the amendments. The Attorney General's office have done its work already, so it is at the level where we now just have to do final checks and balances before introducing it to Parliament later this year. And that would address most of the queries that people have. Of course, it's long outstanding, because this an act that have been in existence since independence and or immediately after independence. So, of course, but I wouldn't say there are no laws or there are no proper provisions to protect either investors or the country. Of course, we have what we can use to start with. And I have compared what we have with different countries, and there are no much differences. Of course, countries differ from country to country when it comes to the legislations. But it's not really that we have a gap that could prevent any investor from investing in the petroleum sector. Because one, there are clear processes on how to apply to get a license. There are clear provisions to protect the interest of the investor. There are clear provisions to protect the transfer of profits from the oil products to any country of say, the investor's origin. And of course, what we experience is rather some companies requesting for for conditions that are not provided for by our laws. For example, saying, I want to invest in your country, but I mustn't pay royalties, which is the basis of our collection, revenue collection. And for us to derive benefits from our natural resources, our laws must speak to that as well. And we have provisions that are speaking to that, especially in the Petroleum Production Act. So, for example, it would say how much a company must pay in terms of royalties to the government or export levies to the government, and in terms of taxes, how much a company can pay, and I can also say how much it is. But we are also flexible then to say the world has been moving forward, it doesn't move backward, and as a country we should also follow the trends of the world, I mean global trends, when it comes to dealing in oil and oil products as well as gas. So it is unfortunate that we are at the beginning of the process of oil discovery, but I should assure the nation that we are really not bad at all. It's more about if a company comes with its own condition, and we are also standing at our position, protecting the interest of the Namibian people. Sometimes if we don't find each other, that's when you find a certain company may be raising those concerns or allegations. But you see, it's also interesting to note that a certain company that is saying so in Namibia does not do what it wants Namibia to do in another country, for instance, in Europe. It will comply to the laws of Europe, but it wouldn't want to comply to the laws of Namibia in terms of interest for the country. For example, you may find a country in Europe where oil is extracted by the same company, and the conditions and requirements are very high. They are set, the bar is set here very, very, very tall, but much higher than we are. But when it comes to Namibia, no, because you are Africa, you must lower it so down to almost nothing. And what would be the benefit of the people? We don't want to be leaders leading the country to fall. We must be leaders elected by the people to protect the interest of today and the future generation.
Absolutely. Now, Minister, on that, so for example, you can say the Petroleum Act, the amended version, it's all good, it's locked in, watertight. Then you get a law like NEF, that equitable, it's a long name, I don't always.
Of course.
Yeah. Which talks about, for example, equities for locals and stuff like that. So it's one law that is watertight, and then another one gets introduced, because the NEF bill in particular has been one that people are watching closely to say, what if I go to Namibia and then I get told I must give 25% of my company away, I must give half of my company away to locals, for example, and stuff like that. And then as long as there's no certainty around that, people are scared to come.
Yeah, but I would say people must rely on the existing laws, not on proposals. Because proposals are still open for discussion, like the NEF you are speaking about. But when we talk about, for instance, the Petroleum Act, it's an existing act. It's a statutory provision that provides the area under which we should operate, both as a government, administratively, and companies as operators. So those are the instruments that provide reliance on how we should operate, and I would urge companies to rely on that, then relying on what we are discussing as a nation. So discussions are discussions, proposals are proposals. Of course, we should propose laws, but as long as we are still discussing the NEF and we have not come to the final conclusion, it remains a proposal. So for now, we are really talking about existing laws and how we can bring amendments that speak to the benefits of the people and also the protection of our investors. That is the most important thing at the moment. And also when people apply for either the PELs, which is now to deal with the upstream levels, They are guided by the existing laws. They know precisely that I'm applying to get an exploration license, guided by this kind of provisions of which law. So that one is very clear. But you see, interestingly also, a company will apply under these provisions, and it will commit to apply, to be compliant to it. But when it comes to reaching the FID levels, that's when you find differences, where some companies would now raise issues that addressing your certain provisions of your existing statutes, such as, no, instead of me paying, for example, 5% royalties, why don't you give me 0% for a certain period of time? You see, those are some of the things. But then you would say, no, I'm bound by the law, and I must abide by the law, because as a leader, you took oath to protect the laws of the Republic of Namibia. And of course, that is what you will protect. And that is sometimes what creates differences in the negotiation between some institutions. But I should say, we have huge interest. Every day we receive companies that are either already exploring to find the oil, and some of them have struck some oil sources, and some of them are optimistic that very soon, most of them are targeting 2030 there, 2029 there. They will be able to make us see the first oil trading in the market. You have companies such as Recon Africa. They are much confident that they will do best, and that they are likely to make us see the first oil by 2029, 2030, 2031 there. Of course, we also have Total Energy, for example, with their Venus oil block. They have made good discoveries, although it is at deep sea level, 3,000 meters deep, and then another 3,000 underground. So it's kind of an ultra deep sea source of oil, but then they also have challenges such as low permeabilities when it comes to the sources of the oil itself. But we are optimistic that at the end of the day, depending on our negotiation now, because we are at the level where we are now negotiating our terms and their terms, so that we create a win-win situation at the end of the day. We are talking business now.
Talking business.
So hopefully, if we find each other, we believe that by in a month or 2 months' time, we should see a decision made towards the FID, or an FID itself in existence. And if that happened, then by 2029 or so, we must see the first drop of oil trading in the market.
Absolutely. The curiosity, Minister, among many Namibians is still around what Namibia's stake would be in its oil. Some people are saying, no, we must take 60% of the whole thing. Some are saying, no, but nobody will invest their money in Namibia, only for everything to be taken by the government. What are we looking at so that we don't lose out?
A good leader,
but also protecting the investor, because they're also in business.
You are correct. You see, a good leader look at comparisons. What is done elsewhere in the world that is actually guiding you not to invent the wheel, which is already there. So for you, it's either to move with it or to improve on it. We have learned from different countries that are already oil producers, and the level of the percentage that they take and how they find themselves with those percentage. Now, in our context as a country, of course, our interest is to have as much percentage as we have in Dep Marine and Namdeb. So where we have 50% each. So, but you see, the participating fees are also challenging. And on the other hand, you see, These processes start with exploration. Now, exploration is gambling, is to see whether you win or you lose. Now, committing national funds to a gambling exercise is also not an easy thing to do because it's only good if you succeed. But if you lose, I can guarantee you that you will create a public outcry. And there are many of those that have started exploring and they have not yet reached the oil or the FID levels, meaning that they are still busy gambling, not sure whether to proceed or to reverse or to wait a bit. So, and obviously as a government, you wouldn't want at our level, at our economic level already to start with that. You want to put in controllable risk. So you manage your risk by putting as little as you can for the beginning and see how the situation grows. But remember that there are also provisions in terms of the Act that after a certain period of time of operation, certain percentage of that interest is transferred to the government until the government own it 100%. So maybe not as an immediate action, but of course as time goes, that is provided for in the law. Of course, 25% relinquished, and then it goes 75% until at the end of the day you own the whole operation. Now, at the moment, most of the government is mostly represented. If it's oil, it's mostly represented by NAMCOR. Now we say, of course, we put resources on the table, although we don't know whether it is commercial or not, because the commerciality of it will be determined by the exploration and the analysis thereafter. But we say, okay, we have the resources though. For you to participate in this market or in this arrangement, you must carry with you our entity, which is vested in NAMCOR. So that's where you find now, mostly in all oil blocks, NAMCOR is participating with different percentage. Of course, most of it is 10% and so on, but it is a carry.
Free carry.
It's a free carry. So if you are free carried, means that you are using your resources as a basis for your participation. So your strength is the resources. But it's true. Investors would reason that, no, I'm bringing in billions of dollars to explore, not knowing also whether I will get something or not. And you want to participate freely, but I must give you 50%, for example. Companies would not invest with you. They would rather invest with your neighbors and others that have better policies, because, like I said from the beginning, a good leader always make comparisons and see what the trends are globally to inform your decisions. Not only driven by national interest, but you also accommodate other aspects in order to make a better decision that at the end of the day will benefit the whole exercise.
Absolutely. There are two things, Minister, that happened recently, quite radical. There was this Cheetah Cement decision where the Competition Commission had said Cheetah cannot acquire Horongo. You have overruled that, of course, using powers vested in you. And then there was another one, what was it? There are two recent ones. I can't remember the second one. But let's deal, while I remember this one, let's deal with the Horongo.
Okay.
What was your thinking there?
Yes, of course, there are many, because as a person vested with power to address issues of different calibers, I should do so. And I should not fear, actually.
Yes.
So I took a decision to protect the interest of the employees, both at Oshuarongo Cement and at Wayrock Cement, that is Cheetah as well. Now, when I started as a minister, I found that process having been dragging on and on. Actually, I found it at the level where the employees were to be laid off. And I sat and I was thinking about the Wolfish Bay situation.
The fisheries.
And I was also thinking about, we are talking about the brothers and sisters who put bread on the table at the moment. From the exercises derived from those two mines, cement mines, that is now the Wayrock cement and the Orongo cement. And of course, I also respect the views of the Competition Commission, because the views of the Competition Commission have been that they would prevent an acquisition in the Orongo cement by Wayrock because it will otherwise give birth to a monopoly in the cement market. Now, the reason why Orongo Cement wanted to sell is because they are reasoning that the business is no longer profitable, and there are reasons that they have provided. And the reasons are that when they established their factories, both Wayrock and Orongo, the market was very wide, nicely. They were targeting not only the Namibian market, but the SADC market. For example, they were targeting Angola, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Zambia. As I'm talking now, those countries have their own cement. And interestingly also, they don't allow, or they have put extremely limits to our cement to enter their countries, leaving those two factories with an option of supplying Namibia. Now, looking at the population of Namibia and the extent to which we use cement annually, we are talking about an average of 600,000 bags of cement per year. Now divided by these two companies, of course, depending on whose marketing strategy provide more opportunities for that, for him, I mean for that factory. So we won't say it's 50-50. Sometimes maybe one get 20%, whatever. But our interest is, if the market had narrowed and the two companies want to close, our interest is not them to close, but to keep them open. So Wayrock or Orongo Cement actually through Shrank are selling only 69% of their stake in the Orongo Cement, and that is the percentage that is being sold, and that we are talking about here. I found that there was only 10% allocated to a local company, and I thought that was too little, because it's not speaking to our election manifesto and the national strategic objectives. So we are saying the local participation must be increased. So I said, look, if you want to acquire shares in Orongo Cement, you cannot acquire all 69 shares unless if you open up not less than 40% must go to the local people who are interested in acquiring those shares as well. And they agreed to that. So, meaning that as I'm speaking to you now, unless if they were acquired by our locals yesterday, or maybe today morning, I don't know. But 2-3 days ago when I followed up, they were still open. Of course, our people have been talking and complaining that no, we shouldn't allow those to buy. But you again question yourself now, do we have people who are interested to buy? If the question is yes, why are they still not buying? Is it information that have not reached them? Or what is the problem that they are still not acquiring those shares that are open? And interestingly, there are also banks that were involved in those shares. They had shares in Orongo Cement. ABN had some shares. ABSA of South Africa had some shares. Another bank, Development Bank of South Africa, also had some shares. They are all selling their shares. They have written letters to confirm that they are no longer interested in that business because it literally doesn't make money anymore. So my strategy was then to say, it's rather moving bad or to worse than it has been. So the remedies that we can provide as leaders should be, one, let's protect the employment opportunities for the people who are already employed. Because our negotiation have been that, and my condition was that if I allow you, Wayrock, and Orongo Cement to trade in this position, then the guarantee I want is that you will not lay off anybody. All the people must continue to be employed, and where opportunities exist, you may even increase as well. Now, where we are, Wayrock have promised also to increase the number of the employees with another product, which is no longer cement, because if they are buying, if they are acquiring shares in Horongo, it means then that they shouldn't produce cement.
No.
So they should find another product, which is clinker. They have already found one.
Okay.
Yeah, so they will then produce clinker, meaning that in that way, they will transfer their existing employees to Horongo Cement Factory, but then they will recruit new ones for the clinker production. To me, it's a very big benefit compared to just looking at it because you are scared that the Competition Commission or other people with different views would attack.
Yeah.
So as a leader, you must be ready to be advised and also to be criticized.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is positive. With me, I don't have a problem with that. But Competition Commission, just to clear the air, I have engaged them at my office. I gave them what I think is correct. And ordinarily, I could have sit with a committee that do the review process without having their views. But I thought, at the end of the day, we are managing the same interest. It was also good just to hear them out as to how they arrived at that decision.
Yeah.
And the good of it is that they said, no, Honorable Minister, you are right if you say you are raising the shareholder percentage to the local participation. If that is the case, then go ahead. Yeah. So actually there is no dispute from the side of the Competition Commission because they are in support of the action. They are also willing to see the people continue to be employed as opposed to the process that has started already by then, which was the conciliation process involving unions and so on already to prepare the layoff the whole employees. That is what I have prevented, and I'm proud of it.
Wonderful. Yeah, I remember now. The second one was the Vitol oil arrangement also. Of course, we know that the situation in the Middle East has also disoriented us to a very great extent. But again, in that case, the Competition Commission had said that Nasan, those guys, the retailers, should not buy any fuel from Vitol because they're interconnected in some other ways, and they will, I think, monopolize the industry if they were to trade with each other while they have links. You have also overruled that. Now, you're thinking around that.
No, thank you very much. Of course, sometimes you have to take critical decisions to move forward. In that case, of course, combined with other aspects and other elements that I have looked at, some of them, some of the elements were to say, as a government, we took a decision where we have to change the current oil supply chain to a system that we believe will save the country better. For example, the system that we are using or have been using is the one where the oil traders or wholesalers have been placing premiums on top of the basic fuel prices, which premiums have caused a huge cost for the government and for the people in return, because it means then that when you have a basic fuel price and then on top of that one there is also a premium put on top of it, although it doesn't necessarily double the price, but it increases it drastically. Yeah. So now we are saying, at this time where we are faced by the oil crisis in the market, where the global trend are the one directing the decisions to say which direction should I go in order to save. Number one, to secure a fuel supply in the country, but also to supply fuel at a cost that is affordable, and also to protect the energy fund, because we are talking about public funds here. Mm-hmm. The government have a method of cushioning in for the people, to say we don't want the whole cost to be transferred to the end user, being the motorist at the end of the day. The government normally pay a certain amount in between that is the difference between the basic fuel price and the pump price, because the pump price is set by government every month. And it doesn't mean that is the cost of oil. It simply means the government do not want people, for example, to pay for $30 per liter, and therefore it would say, no, people must only, service stations, the retailers now, allow people to pay only $24.60 per liter of diesel, for example. But it doesn't mean they were supplied at that cost. They were definitely supplied at the cost determined by the wholesalers. Yeah. And now the government has now to pay that difference between the cost of the wholesaler and the price that is being paid by the customer at the pump. Now, if on top of the price that the wholesaler is supposed to supply the fuel at, is also another cost called premiums. Yeah. That has been definitely draining the coffers of the public. And in the last 3 months, we have realized that we have paid almost, of course, we have spent 1.4 billion in cushioning in, but part of that money was caused by the unnecessary premiums that I thought we could remove by introducing a system that would speak to that. And our calculation is telling us that if that arrangement goes successfully, we will save 300 million per month in premiums. Yeah. So that is when the government agreed to say, let's, or mandated me to go out in the country and outside the country to find better sources that would otherwise rescue us from the excessive cost of fuel. We have consulted countries such as Russia through their embassies, countries such as Algeria through their embassies, India through their embassies, Angola here. We have also consulted certain international companies just to see where we can get a better deal in a situation which we see as an emergency. Yeah, because ordinarily we wouldn't have just go out to look for companies in this way, but we regarded this situation as an emergency, and therefore we have to deal with it as such. That is in the process where we received also then quotations from the local players, because we have 4 main wholesalers, and that is Vivo, Total Energies, Puma, and of course we have Puma, we have Total Energies, we have Vivo, and we have Namcor. Those are the ones that are wholesalers. We have asked all of them to give us also their quotations, because we said if we can buy fuel in a coordinated way, instead of each company buying its own small portion of the volumes, it's actually much cheaper. And the industry itself has also agreed to it. In fact, by 2023 already, there was a proposal by the industry itself, oil industry itself, to say, Namibia, we believe that if we can have a coordinated buying system, it can help us to reduce the cost of fuel to the end user. So I studied that. And when studied it, I got convinced that no, we can actually take this and start with it, implement it and see how it will work. And when we ask the local suppliers to, and of course I told you that I also went out outside the country to source for different quotations, including the Dakotas and all others. So because our interest were, where are we getting the best deal? So in the process also Vitor gave their quotation as well. But you see, to them, I want people to understand this one. See, Mr. Njadila, to me, that was really sort of, I don't know whether to call it a compromise on their side, because they are not making money out of it. They're actually losing, because they are selling their fuel at a basic fuel price, as opposed to the trend that has been there, where the wholesalers have always put on premiums. Because it simply said, we realize that the government of the Republic of Namibia is looking for a better option. And their better option is, at the moment where we still have the crisis in the Middle East, we can remove the premiums, because that's what the government wants. If the government is ready to allow us to supply its suppliers, which is the wholesalers, on a reduced cost, we are ready. Because Vitol is not supplying the government. Vitol is supplying the wholesalers in the same fashion, without any change. There is no model of supply that have changed. It's simply to say, Vitol is supplying the existing market and the existing wholesalers. In fact, I must also say, for the last 6 years, Vitol have already supplied them. The only difference is the price, that they were supplied at an expensive price, as opposed to the price that they are now getting the fuel from. And in fact, those who are honest, the wholesalers have confessed to me that we are making more money, more profit now than it was. Thank you, Honorable Minister. So that is really what it is now. Your question was not about that.
Yes.
Your question was about Nasan. Now, when we decided to test the model of coordinated fuel supply system, we said, and as the model speak to, is coordinated fuel supply system means one ship bring the whole consignment
for Namibia,
for all players for the country. Now, ordinarily, it's not only one company that supply continuously, but at a time. At a time, it will be one ship coordinated by one company. It will then, the other companies who are the wholesalers will then acquire their products from there. They will actually nominate their volumes to say, for August, my volume for diesel is like this and my volume for petrol is like this. So they get it at a reduced cost compared to the cost that they used to pay usually. But now the difference was, when they get it expensive, they also sell it expensive to the government. So, I mean, to the dealers. To the dealers. The government only go in to cushion in what the difference. Now, the question is, where should, in this case, the fuel or service stations run by Nasan get oil from? That is the critical question that I had. Because there is an arrangement which requires all companies to comply with. You have 52 service stations in the country that service the people, innocent people. And at the end of the day, you say, no, these service stations, actually you are saying they must not operate.
Yeah.
They must close.
Because there's no other supply.
Because there is no other supply. Actually, it's like I was to subject Nasan to close, because the conditions given to them would only allow them to close. Now, my consideration was, look, there are people working at these service stations, apart from the service delivered to the motorist to come and fuel there. So, now also subjecting a company called Nasan to perhaps only one supplier, because the condition is also extended to say companies that are also supplied by Vitor should not supply Nasan. Now, Namcor is being supplied by Vitor, or has been also. And at that moment, I have verified that they even had an ongoing contract. Then you have Vivo. They are supplied by Vitor continuously, and it has been like that. And now you have Total Energies. They also get supplied by Vitor. But sometimes I also have confirmation. Yeah. Even Puma sometimes gets supplied by Vitor, although there is Trafigura that supply them frequently. What you are saying is that in Namibia then there will be no company that qualified to supply Nasan. Yeah. Now, where should they get the oil from? So once we make decisions, the decisions must not make it impossible for one to trade, but it must also allow a person to participate competitively. Yeah. You cannot participate in the market competitively if your competitiveness is restricted to a condition that only allow you, maybe, I don't know now, maybe whether the target was to get from Puma, but which sometimes is also supplied by Vitor in an ordinary way, not now with this arrangement. Yeah. So ordinarily, I found it not really helpful to allow a competitive environment between the players, because players must have the same competitive opportunities. Yeah. Yes, but when you restrict the opportunity of another player, to me, I don't see justice in it. Yeah. And that is really what, among others, that is also what contributed to the decision that we made. And also, I must say, we are about to finalize the regulations, which will speak to the coordinated fuel supply system. This one will also allow us to detect the origin of the oil that the country is getting, the volumes of the oil that arrive in the country, and the distribution of such oil, unlike now. Yeah. Now the system doesn't speak to that. Okay. And it's risky also. Yeah. You know, to qualify the amount that the government is paying to cushion if you cannot properly trace the origin and the quantity. So the one we are introducing is the one that speaks to quantifying the volumes, qualifying the content and the requirements of the standard oil supplied to the country, and I believe we will soon see a reduction even in the amount being cushioned in by the government. Yes, and that's really my expectation, and we are working towards that one. Okay. By August already, we will make the regulations known to the public, and they are transparent. They are now shared with the industry players to make their final input. In fact, there was already inputs from them. Now they are doing their final input to say, we are done on our part. Please look at it again as players, because we respect our industry players. Yes, they are our partners. Absolutely. So from the 27th of July, they will be done with that exercise. Back to us. We will inform the public. Absolutely. And then we implement. Absolutely. The last question to you, Minister. In layman language, why is it that Namibia doesn't, I don't know if it doesn't,
but we don't seem to be getting Angolan fuel. I mean, we go to Qatar, we go to the Strait of Hormuz is closed, and then we are stuck, but there's just oil across the border. What are the complications there?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I had an opportunity to explain it once, and I thank you for asking that question, because in the minds of many Namibians, that question still exists unanswered. So what happened is Angola does produce oil, and they have their own company that deals with that oil, and that is Sanangol. So Angola produce oil, but then the oil is extracted by companies by independent companies, and the crude oil is exported to refineries elsewhere outside Angola. Of course, Angola also have some few oil refineries, but they refine their oil mostly and largely outside the country. And when the oil come back, they have to subsidize the cost of oil to the end user. Now, I have consulted with the Angolan authority. Actually, it was my first point of entry into searching for oil, because I thought, these are our brothers and sisters, good neighbors, and have been enjoying an excellent relationship. So why not starting here? So that's where I started. So, but the response from Angola was, look, we are subsidizing hugely to the cost of oil, to the extent that the pump price is very low. But it's not because we produce the oil. It's because we, with the money, some of the proceeds that we get from the oil, we use it to subsidize for our people so that they can test the benefit of the oil which you are producing in the country. That's why the pump price in Angola is very low. So now they cannot subsidize for Namibia, of course, because that one is a subsidy, just like the subsidy that we have from NEF, where we cushion in for the public not to pay for the whole price. But because remember, in the SADC region, we are still, apart from Angola, we are the lowest, then second to Angola when it comes to prices at the moment. So it is still an excellent appreciation that we can be proud of ourselves. So we have, as a government, also tried to manage, of course, not at the level of Angola, because we still have to discover and put our oil in the market once we reach at that level, and perhaps we will use also those proceeds to cover up so that we cushion in more than what we are doing now, so that the pump price become much cheaper. But truly, that is what's happening in Angola. So their oil go there, they buy the refined oil at the same price as we do. To import the oil in their country. We sometimes also buy from the same barrel. Of oil in the oil market. The difference is only the huge subsidy that they put in. That's what I can say for now.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Minister, thank you very much for your time. Really, this was a very eye-opening conversation, and our hopes are now very high now. It looks like good things are coming.
And, I'm still stressed because the war has not ended. The more war is continuing, the more I become stressed. And the more the government becomes stressed, because the price per barrel have just increased drastically.
Absolutely.
Very, very much shockingly so. But of course, I believe it will not be the same way.
Absolutely.
When we did not have any arrangement in place.
Well, thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much.
That is Modestus Amutse. He's Minister of Industries, Mines and Energy, gracing our platform for this week. Thank you for watching.